From Amber Heard's fleeting appearance in a battle scene preview of the sequel, to over 6 million people planning to boycott the film on its release, Heard has been cast once again in Aquaman: The Lost Kingdom. The trailer isn't officially out yet, but the studio didn't want to wait any longer to drop the big bomb. They figured nobody could stop the chaos their long-dreaded announcement would ensue in the fan base, which is why, on April 26th, they confirmed the actress's appearance in the film. According to Deadline, she's shown in the middle of a battle scene, and though she's only there for like 2 seconds, it's all you need to know. She'll reprise her role as Mira, the same character she played in the first movie. She appeared alongside Jason Momoa as Arthur, and I've gotta say, the duo was the most groundbreaking thing to happen in 2018. But things have changed, and though Jason's return as Arthur in Aquaman 2 was hugely appreciated, nobody wanted Amber back on the big screens. There was a huge online campaign by the fans solely dedicated to kicking her out of the sequel, and it got over 4.6 million signatures. The reason? Well, you don't need Sherlock for this one. The vicious domestic abuse allegations against her are to blame. Rumors about Amber's abuse toward Depp have been around for ages, even before their conflict became a full-blown court trial. She was branded a domestic abuser for years, but the petition to end her career got a major boost last spring when the two threw allegations of violence at each other in court. You guys probably remember the crazy voice notes from 2022 in which you could hear Amber admit to hitting Depp. It was part of the evidence given to the court, and guess what? It began a messy, high-profile defamation trial between the two, which ended badly for Heard, at least in the US. The jury gave Depp over $10 million, but Amber got only $2 million. She lost the case, and with it, any chance she had at a successful career again was gone. So the outrage over her casting was expected. Aquaman's fan base sees a harmful woman under Amber's pretty girl mask, and it's tough for them to not think about all the physical and verbal abuse that Depp had to go through because of her. Her role in the Aquaman franchise stands on shaky legs, but this isn't the first time that's happened. Heard almost got fired from the 2018 Aquaman, all thanks to her controversial legal battles. I mean, you can't blame them. Every franchise would be scared to work with a ticking time bomb. The actress came with a bagload of controversy, and the media firestorm around her reputation didn't help. During the trial, Amber openly testified that she almost lost the Aquaman role in 2018, and while she hoped it would win her a few sympathies, her statements instead backfired on her. The lady was hugely mistaken, because, according to the then president of Warner Brothers, they wanted to swap her out for a very different reason. She couldn't form a chemistry with Momoa on screen, and to the president, that was a much bigger problem than her rapidly declining reputation. What's more, he wasn't the only one who saw her lacking the skill to get the job done. According to the former studio head, Walter Hamada, they had to put in insane amounts of work in post-production just to handle the lack of chemistry. I'm talking about the main characters of the film who were supposed to be deeply in love. One can only wonder how they made it work with Heard's inability to fit the role, but Hamada had a lot more to talk about. That man was on a roll. Not only did he contradict all of Heard's statements, but he also explained the reason for sidelining her in the sequel. And no, it had nothing to do with her trial. Remember how Amber's only in the trailer for 2 brief moments? Yeah, there's more to it. Because if she'd been leading the story of the sequel, you probably would have gotten to see more of her. Sure, her casting alone is enough to enrage fans, who would like nothing more than to watch her disappear from Hollywood, but the downscaling of her role as Mira is still a win. She tried to claim that the controversy of her trial had led to this decision, but Hamada was clear on his stance. They had never planned for Mira to have the spotlight in Aquaman 2. After shooting the first movie, it was clear to the showrunners that her bond with Momoa's character was terrible, and even if they tried forcing it to work, things would turn stale in no time. The filmmakers were stuck because they couldn't just kick Mira out of the narrative in the sequel. So, despite the public's protest, she stayed part of the franchise, but her role has been reduced to nothing. Hamada's words make it clear that she's almost a side character now, and she appears in Aquaman 2 out of mere necessity. But if Mira's not dominating the story anymore, where's the film's story headed? Hang on tight, because the trailer had a lot of other things to show. Only the lucky few attending CinemaCon got to see the trailer, and let me tell you, the plot couldn't have been crazier. I'm talking about Dr. Stephen Shin teaming up with the badass Black Manta and attacking the surface world with a mega-powerful black trident. That's not all. You get a glimpse of Atlanta's mind-blowing comeback. But the craziest of all? Aquaman will join forces with his half-brother Ocean Master. Sure, there's a buddy comedy feel to it, but Orm definitely has some lessons to learn as Aquaman steps up as the ruler of Atlantis. Boy, is it about to be your wildest ride in a while. The effort they put into the Aquaman sequel shows, and if Heard hadn't appeared in the trailer's last few seconds, none of this controversy would have surrounded the franchise. If I'm being honest, the filmmakers kinda dug their own graves. Think about it. The team behind Aquaman had the most amazing narrative prepared, and considering the delay in the film's release by a whole year, they had plenty of time to rethink their casting choices, but they still chose not to. Heck, fans even had some awesome suggestions lined up. Sure, some felt that recasting Mira with a new face wouldn't work because viewers were already used to Heard representing the character, but others felt that another actress would get the job done better. Let's take Emilia Clarke, for instance. She would have made a phenomenal Mira. But hold on, there's a much bigger catch. Remember the bad chemistry between Heard and Momoa? Well, that problem would have vanished instantly with Emilia because she acted alongside Momoa in Game of Thrones. Not only did the two get super naked together, but they could set fire to the screen with just a shared look. Not to mention, Clarke is the most unproblematic celebrity out there. So, what stopped them from replacing the Mira actress? Apparently, Jason insisted that Heard holds on to her role, even when evidence piled up to prove her guilty. As it turns out, she managed to win some sympathy in her workplace. But Depp? That man was fired from most of his roles, and fans see the hypocrisy clear as day. Let's go back in time, when Johnny lost the trial against Heard in the UK, and Warner Brothers demanded his resignation almost instantly. Suddenly, he was kicked out of the Fantastic Beasts franchise, and it was made clear that his reputation rendered him impossible to work with. On the other hand, the same Warner Brothers refused to cut Amber out of the Aquaman franchise. In fact, they ignored the protests of millions of Depp fans from around the world who demanded nothing but for the actor to be treated fairly. Luckily, the fans saw right through the studio's actions. They treated Depp harshly simply because he's a man, even though both Heard and Depp were proven to be abusive toward each other. In Hollywood, working with a male abuser is close to a crime, and the company couldn't risk that at any cost. But when a woman is accused, like in Heard's case, conversations about the lack of women in the industry are brought up, and instead of holding them accountable for their actions, they're given a platform to continue their work. It's an advantage a man in the same shoes could never get. Nobody could forget that Depp was losing jobs for 6 years, all thanks to Heard's constant lies. But her supporters still like to point out that Depp was the one who got the most praise post-trial, even though they had both made terrible decisions. But the number of those supporters is going down by the day. You might be wondering why. As it turns out, a Twitter hashtag is all it takes. Within minutes of the news of Heard's appearance in the trailer, hashtag Boycott Aquaman 2 was already trending on the social media site, and over 6 million people vowed to boycott the film on its release. That said, the film has very slim chances of success, with some fans claiming that Heard is the most hated woman on the planet, and others recalling the woman's lies over the years. Calling her names was just the start of it. But in the end, it was clear that the big screen is no place for a proven abuser. So there you have it. From the mass boycotting of Aquaman 2 on its upcoming release to Heard's 2-second appearance in the film's trailer wreaking havoc, that was all you needed to know about Amber Heard being cast in Aquaman 2.